What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drewbie Wilson, with more than 2 decades in sales. I've seen it, heard about it, lived through a lot, and now I'm here bringing it to you, my favorite people on the planet, the sales community. Because let's be honest, sales is the greatest job on the planet. It literally gives us an opportunity to build any life that we want if we're willing to do the work. And that comes along with a whole host of hilarious stories, which is what I'm bringing to you. Today's guest, a friend of mine, someone I've had the honor of watching grow and build his business over the last few years, someone who I know is a genuine gem of a human being. He's my friend, Mr. James Baskin. What's up, brother? How are you?
What's going on, man? And a lot of that is due to you, man. So respect for you, and a lot of that growth, you've helped me with over time.
Well, hey, I certainly appreciate it. The honor is all mine, sir. I mean, as the founder of Outsource Kings, I've literally seen you help not just myself, but multiple business owners that we know through the communities that we're a part of help grow and scale their business. So, man, when it comes to sales, you're someone who certainly knows it inside and out. And I want to jump right in, man. I want you to tell us a crazy sales story.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. I'm going to give more than one if that's okay, because I want to give one from my insurance past life, and I want to give one from like you now. You're working from home. You're all remote, and you're working via Zoom, and you don't even meet probably half the people you work with ever. So I want to give one of each. So sales story from insurance, final expense. I went to a home, sold a life insurance policy to a couple who we get to the presentation. I go through everything. They're like, oh, we want this policy for like 60 or 70 bucks. I forget the total. And then they said to me, hey, we really need to pray on this. And I said, great. There's no time better than the other now to talk to Jesus. And I held hands, and we all got down on our knees and we prayed together. And this is honest to God, true story. I literally said to this couple, I said, what was the message that you got from Jesus? And they said, to move forward with this, let me get my checkbook. And I said, praise God. It was authentic, and I felt like an actual good moment. Like I was being authentic, but just like I had driven 2 hours to get out to this area. I was door knocking these leads. I had been out all day. I was tired, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm not about ready to lose the opportunity over, we got to pray on this. It's like, let's just pray right now, and close the deal, made, I don't know, whatever, $1,000 or something. And then in internet marketing days right now, where my business, Outsource Kings, working remote, I actually got a sale off of a podcast that I spoke on. So I spoke on a podcast, and a guy heard me tell a story on that podcast. So a guy heard me talk on that podcast, and he talked about the reason why he booked a call and he wanted to purchase my service was because on the podcast, I talked about being upfront with people and rather telling people the truth and costing myself the sale than just fast talking someone and selling them something. And basically, it was more like roofer terminology, so I'll keep it vague for the audience. But it basically was like talking directly to roofers and telling them like, hey, your employees are stealing from you, and I knew it was going to cost me the sale if I told people that, but I'd rather be honest with them. And he said as soon as he heard that, he was like, you're my guy. And go figure, that guy, we've had little things happen here and there kind of thing. And he didn't get many leads. His first month, he barely got like 5 leads. And I said to him, hey, man, I don't feel right charging you for month 2. You barely got any leads. That doesn't seem like the right thing to do for me. And he's like, James, you got a business to run. Charge my credit card. And I was like, cool. At least I led with the intention of like, hey, I want to make sure that. So that's probably the craziest story I've had, recently with online roofers working with.
And that's the thing that I love about you, James, is you are, like I said before, a genuine human being. You want the right for everyone. If it ain't right, you're going to make it right. And that's the great thing that I love about building relationships with others in the space, right? We've seen a lot of internet marketing gurus and whatever you want to call them, really go off the deep end and do some crazy shit. And that's a whole nother story for a whole nother series of episodes. But the cool thing is when you're with the right people, and you have that genuine sense of, listen, I'm going to do what I can to my capability, and I'm going to deliver on those expectations. And when the expectations aren't met, instead of creating excuses, you're like, cool, I'm going to make it right. I'm going to run it for another month. I'm not going to charge you. And what's great is individuals are going to be like, nah, man, this is how it is sometimes. Sometimes marketing takes a little bit of time. Sometimes you got to do the work. And really, what could have happened is in those 5 leads, we don't know, maybe he got 2 or 3 deals. It's not always the number of leads, it's the quality. And again, I don't know the whole story, but I do know you would have been the first one, as you said, to be like, cool, let me make this right. And that's the thing that's crazy about sales is, how do I want to put this? A lot of times, sales professionals will avoid having that hard conversation with someone because they're afraid of what's going to happen, instead of just ripping the Band-Aid like, John, listen, here's the deal, bro. We only got you 5 leads last month. It's not that great. We're going to run it for a month, no charge. Let's just get this thing figured out. But instead, they sit off on it, and they're like, wait and wait and wait, and then it's like no communication. And so I would love to know from you, man, as far as sales, going through the process, using, all the different terminology and all the things that you've done over the years. I know you've sold a handful of different products and services. If you had to pick one secret weapon or skill that you would say is like your thing, what would you say that is?
To answer that directly, it's going to be communication and over communicate and confrontation. But I'm going to take a step back for a second. A lot of my sales that I got in the way of my own sale, so to speak, was by me either going too far into the actual product, like, hey, look at all these specs. Here's everything we do. We call your leads 10 times, and getting right back to what the client actually wants, which is an ROI and cost of acquisition, and communicating and setting expectations. So it's a combination of a few things, but I just made a Facebook post about it. It all goes back to our words and our intentions. And not to sound woo-woo-y kind of thing, but it's like, communicate clearly and do what you say you're going to do. And then if something happens, which life happens, right? Maybe the algorithm or the tech stops working or the funnel breaks or whatever, communicate that. Or if you can fix it and there's not an issue, just fix it. I mean, you don't have to communicate everything, but at the same time, like, communicate clearly with your clients. And I think what happens is myself, other marketers, we get busy, we get stressed, and then the last thing we want to do is have to confront a client that we could lose. I literally, right before this phone call, I talked to a guy, $100 million a year insurance company out of Dallas, big time player in the insurance game. I've been trying to get a hold of him since yesterday. Couldn't get a hold of him. It was just texting back and forth yesterday. We had a renewal. He's got a bunch of different things that he runs through us through our VAs that we manage that call for him and work for him. And I needed to get a hold of him. So he's already a paying client, but there was a renewal for something else that had kind of fallen off, and we needed to kind of get clear on that before I charged his card. So this was just like, the last thing I want to do is charge his card, and then he doesn't use it, and now all of a sudden I have to like give him a credit and all that stuff. It's like, I want to be crystal clear on like where we're going with this. So I confronted it. I said to him, hey man, once I got on the phone call, I said, hey man, here's what happened with this, and this, with the past thing that we did for you. I'm just keeping it in vague terms for the sake of the story. But I confronted the issue that we had with something, brought it to his attention, offered a solution. He offered me his solution. And this is another thing. So this isn't, once again, communication is a two-way street. It's not just you communicating to them. It's listening to what they're saying. He came back and said to me, well, what if we did this instead, and we just double what I'm doing here, and I just pay you twice for this then, and you just do more of that? Rather than me being like, oh, let's just do this. I'm like, you know what? That sounds like a great idea. I'll go. Am I good to go ahead and run the card for that? Yep. Just go ahead and text so-and-so, let them know, that this is what we're doing on that. And I said, cool, great. Sounds good to me. And that was more of just saving a sale. But if you're in business, we're saving sales all the time. We're constantly having to adapt, run the company. I would say the communication and the two-way street. And it didn't even occur to me until I'm talking to you that I literally stopped for a second with what I wanted, and I listened to what he said for what he wanted. And then I moved forward with the sale. Then I said, oh, great. So that's what you want to do? Yep, cool. You're good to run the card for that. Cool. Okay, great. We'll run the card for that. Done and over.
It's so interesting to me how many business owners, entrepreneurs, whatever title you want to put on it, will lose business because they're afraid to call their clients and just have real conversations. You
Yep.
know, and I don't, I think it was Grant Cardone says this. What is it, like any level of interest is a level of interest. Any no is still a level of interest. Maybe I forget. I butchered the quote. Doesn't matter. Point being, if you just call your clients and you have a conversation with them and you ask questions and you listen, it's amazing how much more they're willing to spend with you because like they just want you to hear what they have to say.
Yeah,
It's
something I
crazy.
think that I think a lot of this is going to happen more and more. We're going to see is where marketers specifically, because marketers for whatever reason they just love innovation and automation, and it takes away from that human aspect. It's the only thing I really kind of go against in my personal philosophy is this automated AI world of communicating with clients. It's like at the end of the day, you have to receive money from someone, even if it's corporate. Like when we work with corporate companies, there's always two people that sign off on a large expense. You got accounts payable, and then you have like a VP of something, or the president can override everything, but still
Mm-hmm.
it requires two signatures. And, so even corporate, you have to talk to someone. You've got to email that person. Every corporate company we ever worked with, we've always got to email the accounts payable, and they're always impossible to get a hold of. So we have to butter them up, and that's still selling, and we have to get a hold of them. I just saw on Amazon for sale, this little side topic, but it was a robot for like $700 for children 0 to 5 to help them get more confidence with speaking. And I said,
What?
wouldn't it be better for them just to be around other kids? Like, here's this little robot your child can talk to, or they can go play with other kids. And I'm just sitting there looking at this. I'm like, this is baffling. And people were buying it. And it's like, you know what? The best way to get over confidence and I got to shout this guy out. I have a lot of respect for him, and I've watched him go over this. My buddy Christian John, he's involved in automations and go high level. Good young man. He's out of Peru. He's down in Peru right now. Got to shout this kid out. And he's getting over it. And he's putting himself out there. And I see people like that. And I'm like, dude, that is what it's all about. It's not just about, let me get the better AI software that can really talk to people. It's like, dude, just go talk to people.
Call the damn leads. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I made a meme the other day. You remember that South Park episode where it's like, they took our jobs?
Yes, I did
I
actually see
memed
that
it up.
one. Yeah. I
It
know
was
exactly
so
what you're
good
talking
because
about.
it's like, hey, when the hipster marketer bros realize AI took all their jobs for marketing, because that's what's going to happen. They're literally AIing themselves out of the need for a job because at some point the AI is just going to be like, nah, dude, I got it. Or
Yep.
the AI that they're using is just going to be like, turns out the user agreement that you signed says that we own all of this as it is. And so guess what? We don't need you anymore. We've now got your entire business in a box. Like,
Yep.
and we own that shit. Congratulations. You know? And
Yep.
maybe that's a little tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, but I don't
I'm
think it
right.
is.
We could have a whole episode on that because I'm right there with you on that. People that are doing that are signing their own death warrant.
Well, James, that is one of the things that we could definitely have a long conversation with, but let's touch on it for a second though, because I think there is definitely a line, and I think this is a value and really why people do choose to work with you. Because again, at the end of the day, the AI is all about compressing time. How can we get more things done in a faster time frame to create more success? And ultimately, as a sales professional, the reason I would want to hire Outsource Kings is because, hey, I've got a lot of leads that I can't call all myself. So how can I delegate that task to someone who's an expert who can handle it? Are there AI tools that can make phone calls for us? Yes. And also, I'm with you that I believe there's still an element of human connection that adds to the level of know, like, and trust that's so important for sales. And so, what are your thoughts on that? Is it something where you do like to leverage AI when you can, or is it more just kind of like a situational thing for you?
Yeah, I think, and I've talked to other call center people that have larger call centers than me. I'm always trying to be the rookie in the gym, learning from Michael Jordan when it comes to other
Mm.
people. And these people I respect that have way bigger businesses than I do. They always take time from me. Most of them do. And I hop on calls with them. I think the big thing is with AI tools, it's going to help with communication with people that might not communicate as effectively. So a big thing with our people in the Philippines, they started using Chat GPT to ask better questions, not necessarily to get answers, but how to rephrase what they were asking into a very a better question, which I think is great. Because then it's like,
Hmm.
hey, instead of us not knowing what to do and tinkering around and wasting time, let's ask ChatGPT how to ask this question, then ask me the question, and then it's more clear and more direct. So that was one cool thing with ChatGPT. With the AI that I have seen, I know that because I go to call center conferences every year, and I know that they were adding stuff like empathy and compassion into the robot talking and everything like that. And what I still think will end up happening with that is it's going to be someone at a very like a lower level of like high call volume, but that's the buffer before that gets then transferred over to someone. What I think will happen is some form of regulation is going to come, and it's going to say, hey, just a prompt. You are speaking to our AI assistant right now. Some people might just hang up when that happens, or some people might just talk to it because they need to get something answered. But yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely coming, but I'm always trying to stay ahead of stuff. Like, I think for me, what we really want to do is business owners that want to go that direction, they're not going to want to build it. And they don't know that, hey, when you have an AI thing, you have to program this based around what you're looking for. And guess what? There's a job opportunity because someone needs to program it. And so then it's like, what better way for us to program something? So if we have to adapt, which that's part of business, we'll start programming the bots. And then, okay, great. We'll start running the bots because bots are going to break. Things are going to happen. What happens when, and I'm not going to say any bad words, but what happens when the bot starts making racist comments and it's, you called into Nestle and it starts saying weird crap and starts getting an argument with someone. And then it's like, all right, we better shut that down. Or we got to fix the bot kind of thing. Like that stuff we're going to see. We're going to see bots freak out on people and having arguments because if it's a mind of its own, it's going to start acting however it wants. And so I think we'll see regulation in some form of capacity.
I agree with you. I think the regulation, some sort of prompt makes sense. Hey, just so you know, it's almost like the recorded lines, right? It's like it's illegal to record someone without them knowing. Well, guess what? It's going to be illegal to have them speak to a recorded, a bot without them knowing too.
Exactly.
That's a great way to go about it. That's a great. I mean, I would be okay with that. And as you said, I'd probably talk to a bot sometimes, knowing damn well it's like, hey, John, I know you're a bot, dog. Just get me to Supervisor Steve. That's the guy I need to talk to right now. Just push me right through. Don't even mess with me, bro. But that's an interesting perspective. And I like that, something you said is you're constantly looking to grow, always looking to learn, to get ahead of the curve, kind of understand what's coming down the pipeline. I mean, when it comes to growth, personal development, it's literally the secret to creating more income, right? The more developed you are as a human, the more developed your skill set, your conversation, your communication, your mindset. It's really what allows you to take it to that next level. And one of the things we had the pleasure of doing recently was attending a conference together. We got to firewalk, we got to break boards, do all kinds of crazy stuff, man. So, I appreciate the fact that you attend those events because it's how we got to meet each other and build our relationship and grow. One thing I always like to ask is, let's say someone's new to sales. Maybe they're just getting in, they're starting their own business, or maybe they're getting into work for a business where they're going to be focused on sales. If you could give that individual like one piece of advice on how to be successful now that they're in this industry, what would you tell them?
Ooh, such a good question. I always tell people that are getting into the digital marketing space to first get into sales before they launch their business. But you're saying first piece of advice for an individual starting in sales, I would say fail fast. I would say the quicker you can get rejected, and really, and this is going to sound kind of crude, but the worse the rejection, the better. I remember when I first started in sales, it was in the life insurance industry, and probably the worst rejection that I still think to this date, the worst rejection I ever had was I door knocked a guy's house. He screamed at me to get out of his house, off his front porch or whatever, and it was raining. My windows were down, and it had started raining when I had walked up. I get back to my car. Guess what happened? Doesn't start. Windows are down. Guy's looking out there, has the door open. He literally, at one point, he said something. Like, he actually confronted me. And I was sitting in my car, and I'm trying to contact AAA, and I'm like, please, this already sucks. I just hope that he doesn't say something. And he yells something out, and I was like, dude, my battery won't start. I don't know. I'm waiting on AAA. Dude, I was there for 2 hours in this guy's driveway after he rejected me. And he never came over. He never helped me. I wasn't looking for his help. I wasn't like Mr. Sympathy, like, help me out. But what I'm getting at was that moment was like, do I want to continue doing this? Like, there's something sick and twisted for you to go back out and do that again and go ahead and door knock once your car gets fixed. Like, there's something sick and twisted about that shit where it's like, you know what? Let's try the other neighborhood that we got leads to knock. And it was like, dude, it was like the coldest of coldest list. It was like anyone that we mailed a life insurance mailer to. So we knew that they bought their house recently and we had sent them mail. They never sent it back. And I was literally telling them, hey, we sent you something in the mail. We're seeing if you got that or if you had that your 2018 life insurance plan taken care of. Did you get that? And then they'd be like, dude, get the hell out of here. And then eventually probably like 1 out of 100, if I was lucky, would be like, you know what? We actually do need help with that. We're glad you stopped by. And, you know, but that was a lot of rejection. And I think now where I'm at now, because I get rejected, happens still to this day. I get people that I pitch on a service. I send them a DocuSign or a Panda Doc. They ghost me, form of rejection, right? It's nothing to me now. It's like, okay, whatever. I've had people tell me on the start of a call. I had a guy one time, he literally started the call off. He said, I don't want to hire anyone in the Philippines or anyone that's a Hispanic. And I said, well, then we're probably not the company for you. And, you know, it's like, that was him just like straight up rejecting me. And I'm like, dude, you booked a call with a company called Outsource Kings. I don't know what you expected, but we're you know, it's crazy. It's like, you know, so it's like nowadays I laugh at it. But when I first started, man, I used to take it so personal. And I think it was just because of the time investment, like you drive into someone's house and stuff like that. But new person starting off in sales, get rejected fast. The more rejections you get, the better. The worse they are, where like you're calling your parents and you're like, I don't know if I can do this, Mom. Here's what happened. Get that kind of rejection, like where you got to start going to church again.
hey, we're going to pray on it. And once we pray on it, baby, we're going to make it through and we're going to take care of business. And, you know, I have a story about praying on it too. That's for another episode. I'll share it with you next time we're together. But, man, you're absolutely right. Just get in, fail, put in the reps, get that rejection, learn what works, what doesn't work. I love that advice, James. I think that's fantastic. And as I said, man, I can't be more grateful to have you as a guest today, to have you as someone I call a friend, and to have, you know, just your stories and your gift of wisdom with us today, man. So thank you so much for being a part of this. If they enjoyed the show, they're interested in, you know, learning about how to outsource some of the stuff in their business, what's the best way for the listener to come find you?
Yeah, either Facebook, James King Baskin, send me a message and, you know, let me know you came from this podcast, of course. And or my website, Outsource Kings, and there's a calendar link you can go on and you can book directly, and then you can mention where you heard about us and mention the show, of course.
Absolutely. Well, James, I appreciate it. If you're listening and you got some value today, you enjoyed it, share this on social media, tag us at Call the Damn Leads, let people know you got something out of this show. And also, if you have a crazy sales story, if you want to come on, you want to share something with us, we'd love to invite you to be part. Go over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Fill out the information. Let us know. We'll schedule a time. I'd love to invite you on to share your story because let's deal. Sales is the greatest industry of all time. We have a ton of fun. We have a lot of growth. And more than anything, we get to serve our community and help people really take their life to the next level. James, you are an example of that, my friend, and thank you so much for being here with us today. You guys know what to do. Get out there, call the damn leads. We'll see you on the next one.